while this is going to be an angry review, it's not going to be filled with the yelling and sorts that you've heard in all my other videos. That is pretty much customary to the angry reviews. And there's a reason for that. This is a much more serious matter that does not require the use of belting rage and screaming. Although it could. I mean, I may eventually delve into that, but, you know, for now, we just need to reflect in the fact that Austin Dillon should not be alive right now. The 3 should have claimed another victim, and yet it didn't. And why is that? You see, the cockpit of the car remained completely intact pretty much, while the entire car was pretty much disintegrated. So, if NASCAR's done anything at all right with these new cars that they've got, I suppose it would be that. In any case, the race itself was iffy from the start. There was something wrong about this from the very beginning. It started only 5 hours too late. It was nearly tomorrow on the East Coast by the time this actually began, and, well, technically today, but I suppose the same thing applies. Second lap, David Gilliland, probably tired because it's almost tomorrow, ends up wrecking. Several other vehicles end up wrecking in that scenario. Similar things happen over the course of this race in that exact position that he spun out in, but in very many different ways. Kenseth is an example. Edwards twice is an example. So Calamity Corner, turn 4 yesterday. Wouldn't it be today? Today and yesterday. Obviously, the bullshit part about this race that makes this an angry review is the fact that everyone on the broadcast keeps saying, anyone can win this race, anyone can win this race, anyone can win this race. As Hendrick Motorsports, the entirety of it, leads by car lengths, single file, over everyone else. Anyone can win this race. Oh yeah, really? Okay. Yeah, anyone in a Hendrick car can win this race, you mean? It's really symbolic of how the past 10 years of NASCAR has been. You could even argue the Jeff Gordon era, with Hendrick head and shoulders beyond everyone else, to the point in which you can't even say that at a restrictor plate track known for its wild card status, you can't even have a for sure winner that isn't at a certain manufacturer or a certain team. And everyone's been saying this for so long. Anyone can win in a plate track, and I have seen right through this. I saw right through this when Jimmy Johnson swept Daytona in 2013. That July race was absolutely horrendous. It was the worst thing that I've ever seen. And this comes close. This comes really close. If it wasn't for the multiple lanes that were actually being used and utilized throughout the majority of this race, you know, if you weren't at Hendrick, then this would have been pretty much as bad as the Daytona 500 was. And how about that qualifying, huh? Not a single drop of rain falls, yet it's canceled. Oh, yeah. I'm sure Dale Earnhardt Jr. would have won the pole anyway, but come on, at least give everyone else a fighting goddamn chance. At least give everyone else a fighting goddamn chance. Did you see Hendrick? And not to mention that, but the wreck at the end just... How many fans have to get injured before NASCAR changes this shit? There's still stuff that's wrong with these cars, especially at restrictor plate tracks, across all series. I saw a tweet just this morning where there's been a catch fence wreck for the past 4 years. Trucks, Coulter in 12, someone in 13. I could search through these tweets here and find it again. Fucking lag. Larson, Xfinity 2013. That was the one at the very end where everyone wrecked after the fact. It was almost exactly like the race that we just saw. And Kligerman, the 500 practice in 14. I don't remember that. But whatever you say. And then this one. I'm starting to see a trend. A trend that began back in 2009. You could say it began back in 2008. It could have been 2008 that sparked this in the first place. Fuck off, Avast. 2008. Tony Stewart comes to the line. Regan Smith is behind him. Tony Stewart essentially forces Regan Smith down below the yellow line. Regan Smith goes down. Passes Stewart by half a nose underneath the yellow line. His win is taken away, and Stewart goes on to victory lane. What does this tell the drivers? Don't go underneath the yellow line no matter what, which means even if a car is coming down on you, forcing you down to the inside. What happens the very next year? The exact same track. Keselowski and Edwards are coming to the line, almost identical. Edwards comes down to block. Keselowski holds his line. Edwards is sent into the stands. Keselowski still won that. Fans are injured. Catch fence destroyed. But Keselowski still won. What does this tell the drivers? That you have to do everything in your power to stay above the yellow line, no matter what happens. And now, it's a yearly occurrence that cars are sent into the catch fence. And if the catch fence was really doing its job, if the catch fence has... Wow, I cannot talk right now. If the catch fence was really doing its job, it would not be open, just a hole, if a car is sent into it, like what we saw about 6 hours ago. It would still be holding steadfast. If that hole is open and yet another car is sent tumbling end over end into the stands through that hole, what the fuck are you going to do now? It's a clear possibility. It's a thing that can happen. It's a trend that we've been seeing over the past 4 years. 2012, 2013, last year, and now this year. Cars sent into the catch fence. It's a trend that says, beat it while you're ahead. Quit while you're ahead, NASCAR. What this should be telling you is that the cars need to change somehow. They need to slow down. Their aerodynamics need to be changed even further. You need to quit while you're ahead. Because you know what happens when you don't quit ahead? You're lucky that Austin Dillon is still alive. He should not be alive, like I said. There's no possible explanation for this beyond good job, safety crew. Figuring out how to create an impenetrable cockpit. And if anything, if NASCAR can be commended for anything over the past few years, good job on the safety measures. But they need to quit while they're ahead. Because this is a warning sign. 4 years, cars been flying into catch fence. Something will happen eventually. You need to quit while you're ahead. Because you know what happened when you didn't quit while you were ahead last time? Kenny Irwin Jr., Adam Petty, and Dale Earnhardt died the last time that NASCAR didn't quit while it was ahead. I don't know if they've got some sort of measures to prevent this from happening like they did with the Hans device back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But if they do, they need to implement it now, or at least test it now. Because who has to die before they change this? And the fact of the matter is, they're not going to change it until another driver dies, or a fan dies, or droves of fans die as a car flies through the hole in the catch fence. Because it took the death of 3 drivers before they'd implement the life-saving Hans device. And now we're 4 wrecks in. 4 potentially devastating wrecks. And I haven't heard anything yet. I snooped at NASCAR.com to see if anything was new, but I didn't really pay attention. I only kind of was just counting how many Dale Jr. articles there was, but, you know, the only thing that I saw was Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s crew reacting to the crash, and Dale Jr. winning. That's really all that I saw on there. But a lot of things need to change. Just a lot of things need to change. And if it's not going to protect the drivers and fans, then it better soon. Because they need to quit while they're ahead. And if it's not going to even the playing field again, like it was back in 2011, 2012, then quit saying that anyone can win this race. Because until they start saying it's anyone at Hendrick, it's not anyone. It's just anyone at Hendrick. And that's how it's going to fucking end up being for the rest of existence. Especially with what I saw here practically today. It's anyone at Hendrick that can win this. And if it isn't someone at Hendrick that's getting flipped, then they're probably going to end up in the fence. Like you saw over the past 4 years. So, something, anything needs to be changed. There's no excuse for this. If the field is this stacked for Hendrick against everyone else, something needs to change. If catch fences are being mutilated with only 1 car flying into it, imagine what would happen if 2 cars flew into it. NASCAR, fix this. It's not right. If next year we're not seeing something different at restrictor plate tracks, then don't say I didn't warn you when someone dies. That's all I gotta say. So anyway, fuck this race. This was terrible from start to finish. And Martin Truex Jr. wrecked, so fuck me.